every corner. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Them be promise us say we go get light and power. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind, but thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you lie down. My ego don't come. My people make we shout out. My ego don't come. My ego don't come, man of the masses. My ego don't come. My ego die the political. My ego don't come. This one not day off in mind. My ego don't come. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Mayegun don't come.
Hello there.
Mayegun la wa mo la mo do. Mayegun diary, number one.
Good morning to you.
Mayegun la wa mo la mo do.
Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Mayegun diary, number one. Gbogbo ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, number one.
Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, share this broadcast. Invite your friends and invite your not so friendly friends and tell them that it is time again. Mayegun today.
Mayegun diary political. Mayegun diary number one. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun diary number one.
As you are joining the broadcast tonight, I just want you to please remember the families of the victims of the Fulani terrorism in Katsina today. 25 people were slaughtered, including women and children. Datti Baba-Ahmed has fired shots, not one, not two, not three, rounds of shots at Kolu, Tinubu. I have that for you tonight. I will never stop calling him a drug dealer. I will never stop calling him a certificate forger. Datti Baba-Ahmed. Take back your country. Datti Baba-Ahmed. Elections can't save you. Democracy is dead. Myself and Obi, we are done. Datti Baba-Ahmed. Good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. When you accent, just manage it like that. I'm just greeting you before we get started. Have you read the caption of the broadcast? The description as well? Have you shared it? What about your offering? Before you settle down, have you liked the broadcast? You have. Great. So you are welcome to the Temple of Truth again tonight. And from wherever you are watching from, it is Mayegun Live. Yesterday, it was the report on Peter Obi's press conference, which indeed was about or was on his own response to the Supreme Court judgment, which he rejected, just like the Labour Party rejected it. But he didn't fire too much shot other than telling Tinubu to stop wasting public resources and that it wasn't over. That the battle for a new Nigeria is still possible and the obedient are not going to go away and they are going nowhere. That was what Obi said. A sort of a flashback to that before we get to the big story.
Supplementary budget is a budget that is meant for very important national welfare need of the people that is not captured originally in budget or does not have adequate funding. I'll give you an example. Nigeria today, we've read it in the past 1 week for United Nations World Food Organization that 26.5 million Nigerians will go hungry next year. This is an issue of national importance that we can go for supplementary budget. But we have a supplementary budget where we are mentioning issues of yachts, SUVs for First Lady's office, shows to the extent that this government is totally uncaring and we're in deep problem. It shouldn't be part of that. In fact, bringing in First Lady's office, which is not in our constitution, is even more troubling. All funds meant for First Lady's office should be allocated and addressed to dealing with the girl-child issue of education, to deal with the issue of education of the girl child in Nigeria. The First Lady is there to look after the husband and work with him and everything to ensure that everything works well. So for me, the other one you ask is the issue of SUV for National Assembly. Again, I can put it in the same basket that I put the earlier one. It's very troubling. The SUVs for both houses will cost in region of, I think it's in the region of about 60 billion, if I'm right. Nigeria today, our primary health care today is collapsed. Which consequently, Nigeria now have higher infant mortality than India, a country that is 7 times our population. For you now to use funds that is higher than the fund allocated to primary health care to buy a car for 400 people, it shows height of insensitivity. And we have a way we can buy a more competitive vehicle and everything for them, even from locally made. And most of them, even in the Senate, are people who already have cars. We don't really need to buy vehicles to them because some of them are my colleagues, ex-governors and everything. Do they need new cars again? It is time we must shake and show responsibility to what is happening. People, Nigerians, are already scamping for food from waste bin. And we're doing this. It shouldn't be. And I can go further to give you an example of how I handled it even when I was governor. So it's not the first time. When I became governor.
That was Peter Obi yesterday, taking now on Tinubu and their insensitivity to the hardship of the people. That was nice. Some people started picking points from what he said. Oh, it wasn't necessary. I even picked a point from what he said, which the feedback that I got from that was expected anyway. And what was that I said? From all Obi's presentation and press conference, it was giving a speech that sounded like, they will do it again. Like they are going to rally round again and they are going to contest election again. He said, I will do it again. Yes, with the obedience. And I was like, why would you want to do this again? I mean, Nigeria is captured already. If all of you don't understand, if you didn't understand what state capture meant before, now you are about to understand it. State capture. There is no election anymore in Nigeria. You don't get it. Forget that. There is no democracy that allows peaceful gathering, freedom of speech. They don't exist. Now, you can't go into that same system and say you want to, you know what I mean? Like you want to go up with them again with what you have witnessed and the system is not changing. You can't go into election without getting rid of this nonsense first. You are going to get the same result. Why would anybody want to be subjected into going to go and get PVC again? So they will be telling you about IRF, Abi. They will be telling you about Beavers again. They will tell you to go and collect PVC that they won't give to you. That even before the election at all, they've already disenfranchised half of you. Then on the day of election, they unleash violence on you. All of this, no single person has been convicted for electoral violence in this their election. They are now saying they are doing everything for legitimacy. And at the same time, to change the narrative. They are saying 2023 charade is the best election in Nigeria. So I was like, no, you shouldn't subject people to that. If you are not willing to face the reality, which indeed is not going to be easy, there is no point in giving people, these people, giving them another expectation of maybe they can do it. Somebody sent me an email and said, Mayego, I disagree with you. I said, yeah, that's fine. To me, when I was reading, I said, that's great. It's good to disagree with me. You said, I am surprised, Mayego, that you are withdrawing your support for Obi simply because he's saying that they have to still keep it together and contest against Kolu in 2027. I said, listen to me, there was never a time on this platform that I announced to you that officially, I am supporting any of your presidential or electoral, whatever, in your 2023 election. No. I was very clear. Here you get that, you will be their karma. And I was right. And I've been right so far. You will not get their power. You will not get rid of them, but you will be their karma. So don't send me an email and say I am withdrawing my support for. No. Don't mix it up. I have been very clear from the onset, but that's not even the point. The person now said, Mayego, nothing is permanent forever. Things can change. And Nigerians can actually do election and defeat Tinubu in 2027. I said, hey, I am not against your choice, you. The same set of you who believed that election could get rid of these criminals. Now you know better. Abi, some even believed that judiciary could do wonder. I said it's all going to come to the same thing. Now you know better. If your decision is that it is the first time. Things may change, and by 2027, Nigerians will be more awake. Then I am not against your illusion, no. But please don't hang it on me and say you are disappointed or you are surprised. Surprised in Utani. Do you get that? We are talking about Nigeria. You are talking about what you think, what you wish may happen later. You are seeing the obvious. You've tested it. You've seen it. You should realize that these are state-organized criminals. You must be willing and ready to go toe-to-toe with them. You must be willing and ready to give violence for violence, rigging for rigging, threat for threat. If you can't do that, stop deceiving people. That's what I meant. And guess what? That is what Datti Baba-Ahmed unleashed last night. So close. They said Obi and Labour Party, instead of them to be rejecting Tinubu, that they should be, as opposition, they should be offering advice to Tinubu. That's what some of these worries are saying, you know. Here you get. They said Atiku and Obi, they should work with Tinubu to make Nigeria great. By, instead of condemning him, they should be offering him advice on how to make Nigeria work. I actually love what that guy did at the Arise studio last night. Datti Baba-Ahmed. He said, I am not here to discuss or offer solution on economy, security, or Nigerian naira, or whatever, anything. I am here to tell Nigerians that their country is gone. If you still want Nigeria, you would what? You will be willing to go out there and face these criminals. That's what he said. He said, for him who are no BO, they are done. Which is a little bit contradictory to what Obi himself said yesterday afternoon. Datti Baba-Ahmed said, you cannot run a free and fair contest with those who have already captured Nigeria, captured the judiciary, captured your electoral body, INEC. And it is not by election anymore. He said it. I'm going to play it for you. He said it is not by elections anymore. That's for him and Obio, they are done. But when Nigerians are ready, true, through another unconventional, in fact, Mo starts. Starting with this, talking about what is next. You're going to like this guy, I promise you. Start with this.
By Peter Obi today. What was the point of it?
That the judgment eventually and ultimately from the Supreme Court stands accepted, largely because we can't do anything about it. We reject it, we disagree with it, and we cannot accept it, but it stands accepted because there is nothing we can do. That is the end of the road for Excellency Peter Obi and myself as candidates. But I think as this interview progresses, I will be able to tell you another point of view. And if I may just begin now, I'm not here to tell Nigerians that oil was discovered and we forgot about agriculture, or that there is unemployment leading to insecurity. I'm here to, for the sake of my country, say things that matter. I'm not here to regurgitate. I'm here to rescue Nigeria.
Well, let's move methodically in that regard, because before the swearing in of President Tinubu on May the 29th, I mean, to give this a bit of historical context, you were emphatic and clear and almost urgent in your call for Mr. Tinubu not to be sworn in. What were your fears and concerns? Because he's obviously been sworn in and the world hasn't come to an end, has it?
Nigeria may come to an end if the world doesn't come to an end. But very valid question. I feared for Tinubu himself, for himself, from himself. I feared for the reputation of Nigeria. You see, the international profile of global leaders has risen astronomically to the extent that royals even discipline their own. Look at the profiles of gentlemen like Xi Jinping of China, all across the world. All of a sudden, we were faced with the dilemma of having to present to the world who our own president to be was. And I was one of those who knew that the answers were not good. The whole country would be put to shame. The last time I spoke, I nearly brought Tinubu's ambition to a screeching halt. This is evident by the events that followed immediately afterwards. One minister wrote the DSS on his company stationery. I don't know how that is possible. And another minister, skipped ECOWAS, skipped AU, and went all the way to Washington to report me. And Nobel laureate, a very, very senior citizen, inviting me to a national debate. And I'm not that smart enough, even though my dear good friend Chimamanda acted on my behalf. And then DSS coming out a week later, under duress, of course, you could see, to do the bidding of that minister. This shows they were scared. My simple point was that no constitution or any part thereof shall be breached in order to install a president. And if that is done, that presidency will remain unconstitutional. And I remain on this point. I pointedly say
by
That's the first part too. The presenter asked that you made some earth-shaking statements that Tinubu must not be sworn in. But he's been sworn in and the war doesn't come to an end. And his first response is, well, the world may not come to an end, but Nigeria may come to an end. That is a bold statement, a very bold one, which simply means it is the beginning. It is the beginning of an end. And a lot of us have already told you this, times without number. You cannot run a country like this. Even if you are all pretending and lying to yourselves, there's going to be a time that you're going to stop lying to yourselves. And somebody said, Ahmed Datti is bolder, is more bold than Peter Obi. Others says, well, is from the part of Nigeria that has that kind of a privilege when it comes to Nigeria political tussle. Now, that was the beginning of the chat, okay? He said, no matter all that happened, Nigerians need to know that Tinubu's government is unconstitutional, even after the Supreme Court judgment. Here is another part from the same convo.
Presidents of Nigeria, 9 were not elected. 7 were, out of that 7, 1 still remains challenged, Alhaji Tinubu. Challenged. And that is because of the constitutional breach. Now, my attitude from day one was that, based on experiences, let's forget anything electoral. I know the system deeply. My boss, Obi, knows the system deeply. Let's go for the constitutional point. Yes, of course, there is that issue of the forfeiture. There is the forgery. But the clearest one we could get was on the FCT point. Now, get that FCT point, get him not sworn in. There are at least 2 other constitutional channels while sustaining democracy that we could have followed, but they wouldn't.
Right. Well, in that regard, it must have been another aftershock for you then, because both the Election Petitions Tribunal and the Supreme Court have affirmed President Tinubu's victory. I wonder to what extent that has left you personally, politically shaken and unsure of the ground.
Point of correction.
You're talking about.
Point of correction. And this is where I respectfully differ. And it is within my fundamental human rights and constitutional rights to differ. The petition court and the Supreme Court, please quote me on this, did not actually affirm the success of Tinubu's presidency. They upheld the unconstitutionality of that election. And they are happy for it to remain so. And they have the power. Nobody can do anything about it. That is why we said it is an unreasonable show of force. If there was something we could do, we would stop it. But we are law-abiding citizens. That is why I'm here sitting with you today and still complaining. I was not shaken one bit. I will never be shaken by certificate forgery, by forfeited money over narcotics. I will never be shaken by IREV switched off in the middle of the game when they saw us winning. Labour Party won 2023 presidential elections. No doubt about it. They are cheats, they are bullies, and they have taken full advantage of the situation in Nigeria. When you ask me what is the situation in Nigeria, I will go ahead and tell you some fundamental things that say why we are in this situation today. Right. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, but let me...
Presidents of Nigeria, 9 were not...
Are you following that, yeah? Or you've already seen it? All right. We are picking his words now. Okay? Datti Baba-Ahmed said, the Supreme Court of Nigeria did not validate Tinubu's election. They only validate the unconstitutionality, the charade, which means he still stands on the fact that Tinubu's government or presidency is illegitimate. Do you understand why they want him arrested? And why their reactions to Peter Obi's press conference yesterday was so quick? But since last night, we've only been hearing the voices of the APC, from the fringes. They've not made any official statement from Tinubu, but Ezibida Bayo Nonuga responded to Peter Obi yesterday. But I'm coming back. Tinubu's government is illegitimate and is standing on that. Like I said, it is step by step. So what's he going to say to Nigerians then? So what's going to be next then? How are they going to then deal with this then? More questions. He has the answers.
the big picture. We say democracy is government. Well, let me just go. Democracy is not government of the people, for the people, by the people. Democracy is government of the people who have earned their rights, for the people who can protect their constitution, by the people who can exercise civil liberties.
So given what
when they say people,
right,
what kind of people? The people who will fold their arms while their constitution is violated, then democracy is not for you. I have said it. It belongs to only those who can practice it with due respect.
So
just hold on.
Right. I was going to ask you what your assessment of the state of democracy is in Nigeria, given what you just said.
It is poor. The people have to wake up to the challenges. For a people that are ready to accept anything, then anything will happen to them. Again, in quotes. You see, a fraction of 1% difference in a political DNA of a society can spell the difference between servitude and freedom. Last year you saw it. Indian farmers sat in a location for 1 year because of one obnoxious government policy until Indian government reversed it. Before the war in Israel, Israelis were in the street for 16 weeks, counting. You can count so many other countries. Nigerians are not yet ready to do this. As I'm speaking to you, the likes of my former friend who would say it's treason, is all that, I am educating Nigerians. Rise up for your rights. No justice of Supreme Court will give you democracy.
Yeah,
you have to go out.
But they're not going to be able to reverse that, are they?
They will.
I mean, they
Nigerians,
can't.
This is
Constitutionally,
no. Constitutional and legal. And this is where I differ. With all modesty, okay, I don't mind being alone on this. But I know I'm not breaking any law, and I have never had a criminal record.
So what are you actually calling on the people to do? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
I'm getting to that.
Sure. Just that we're running out of time. So
I'm saying that, and again, this is instructive. I'm saying that we, the people that stood to form the Nigerian.
Just wait for it. So that was the moment he actually re-echoed everything that we have been saying on this program too. Nigeria and Nigerians are people who can take anything until they are ready not to take all of this anymore. There is absolute nothing that anybody can do. That's what he just said there. But they wanted him to be clear. What are you trying to say? The Supreme Court justices, Nigeria judiciary, they have been captured too. The institutions that are meant to prevent all of this, they have been captured. If you don't take back your freedom and liberty, and you continue to choose servitude, nobody is going to do it for you. It's going to tell you now. I'm going to let you listen to that too. You can take everything. She's been on 4 years. In 8 years. And another person can come and do it. They can take anything. But Datti Baba-Ahmed is not mincing his words. He is very, very clear. And he is saying, I am educating Nigerians. Democracy has been taken away from you. You are living in servitude. And whatever you like, call it. Just know that you have a choice in what is happening to you. You take it to endure it, or you resist it and fight back. So what is Datti asking you to do here? Listen to this.
This is instructive. I'm saying that we, the people that stood to form the Nigerian Constitution today, it is not over. For we, the people, power is that which remains standing when there is nothing to oppose it. A leader is he who remains followed when there is nobody to challenge. Authority is that which is implemented when there is nothing to stop it. They have the leaders in place now with wielding authority with political power. But power and sovereignty belongs to the Nigerian people, we the people, on whose behalf an elected government is exercising that authority. Now, where the people are dissatisfied with the rulings of their courts, they own Nigeria. Alhaji Tinubu does not own Nigeria. Peter Obi does not own Nigeria.
Yeah, but the
Nigerians on the streets own Nigeria.
But the
and
APC,
listen, I'm getting to the point.
The APC would argue that you don't own Nigeria either. That you have a portion of the electorate that voted for you.
I'm not telling you it is not over. I'm telling you it is not over. For Peter Obi and me, it is over. For we, the people, the Nigerian people, at any point in time, they can take back Nigeria. Especially where their constitution has been violated. Especially where all that the Supreme Court ended up doing was to sustain the unconstitutionality of a certain election.
Let me come in here, because between now and 2027, which is when the next presidential election is due, how do you think things will play out? And what role do you see yourself and Peter Obi and the Labour Party playing in that?
When the Nigerian people rise to defend their constitution, anything can happen. And
well, that sounds quite a bit worryingly frightening.
Look, we are in a worryingly frightening situation. I told you I'm not here to repeat what you've been hearing. And I was prepared to come here. I have never had a criminal record. I love my peace. And I'm repeating that when the Nigerian people decide, Nigeria is theirs for the taking. And any fraudulently elected government, is fair game for them. Nigerian people have the right, the constitutional right. As we speak now, DSS can go and interpret. They have lawyers there. Police, IG, and everybody can go and interpret. The Nigerian people have that power. Not Obi or Atiku or anybody. Nigerian people have the power at any point in time to take their country. All they have to do, not even seek approval. They give notice.
It's interesting.
And listen. You turn away the barrel of your guns, away from the Nigerian people, and point them at the enemies of Nigeria. This country belongs to Nigerians.
Well, you've made that point.
When Nigerians decide, but if they want to practice democracy, they will take this country. It has happened before. The military decided, they took Nigeria for so long, they fixed Nigeria and handed it back. Now, whoever thinks that the Supreme Court will give democracy from any courtroom, the way it appears now is mistaken.
It's interesting.
Nigerians have to go out.
You've made that point.
Nigerians have to go out and democracy. And this is not a treasonable comment. I am not a careless person. I have never.
So you've thought the things you're saying through.
I thought it through very, very well. Well, the Constitution is made by Nigerian people. The Supreme Court is a sub of one chapter that the Nigerian people constitutionally came out that we the people, and the same constitution says that no person or groups of persons shall take over the governance of Nigeria or any part thereof except as prescribed by this constitution. And go and read the constitution of Nigeria. The serving Alhaji Tinubu Malam Shetima government breaches the Nigerian constitution.
Right. Okay. Can I come in here for a minute?
Yes.
Because you mentioned Kashim.
Did you hear that? He said his statement will be instructive. When the presenter was trying to make him talk about 2027 of the next election, and he said, no, you can never have an election in this place. It's impossible. Because if you think you have an election and you go to their courts, judiciary is not going to grow. So people need to go on the streets. That's what he said. And when they do, it's been done before. And he also used the military. Then his statement is that if truly the constitution of Nigeria that said we the people is indeed about the people, then this constitution has been violated by Tinubu, Shetima, and the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The people have the right to be on the streets, even though it is late. He initially said that should have been the action the day they were making those false announcement at 4 a.m. in the morning. INEC announcing Tinubu winner at 4 a.m. in the morning should have already trigger a national shutdown. But it is not too late, according to him, because those who have done all of this have violated your constitution, and you have every right to shut them down. Before I proceed, make I quickly add some clarity here. I've been a proviso, ni won't pay. Out of everything Datti Baba-Ahmed said, or he has been saying since we started this program, on this one of the constitutional power of Nigerians that he is referring to, I think we need some clarity. The Constitution of Nigeria was not written by Nigerians. There was no any referendum on that document. It was a decree made by the military that was handing over power to the civilian based on their own believed architectural design of what Nigeria, or structural design of what Nigeria should be like. Nigerians were never asked. In fact, the civilian government that the military put together in 1999, headed by Obasanjo, they did not see the content of that 1999 constitution until the day of his swearing in. Nigerians didn't write the constitution. In fact, the constitution says Nigerian government can violate all of the right they said you have in that constitution and nothing will happen. Yes, it says that if the government says you don't have that right, you don't. Of course, I'll show you now, in case if you don't know 1999 constitution. Few things you should know about 1999 constitution. A little bit of a digression, quickly.
Ten things you never knew about the 1999 Constitution. Did you know that the 1999 Constitution was promulgated by the Military Decree 24 of 1999? And to think of it, this 1999 Constitution was never subjected to a referendum.
Did you also know that this 1999 Constitution was written by a selected few that never got the consent of the indigenous nationalities or its representation?
Did you know that after writing the 1999 Constitution, it was hidden from the public until after the inauguration of President Obasanjo in 1999?
Funny enough, this 1999 Constitution was not printed by the government press or any known printers in 1999.
Did you know that the 1999 Constitution created a unitary government as against the projected federal government, and this forged an inefficient over-centralized government, as well as creating a centralized judiciary whom has never been autonomous?
In all this, did you know that this 1999 Constitution falsely and maliciously claims that the indigenous nationalities willingly handed over their lands and resources to the federal government?
And interestingly, did you know that the 1999 Constitution calls state governors chief security officers, but at the same time centralized all the security agencies and denies these state governors control over any of the security
And
agencies?
finally, do you know that the illegitimate 1999 Constitution in Section 6, subsection 6c, absolves the government from liabilities regarding rights of the citizens as provided in Chapter 2, making this right not justifiable?
This and many more are the reasons why corruption, unaccountability, incompetence, and insecurity are institutionalized in Nigeria.
Did you know all that? If you have taken your time to read it very much, you realize that everything written inside that place was pretty much unitary in nature and in fact in practice. So if Datti Baba-Ahmed is saying that that same constitution that is not written by Nigerians gives them the power to take down an illegitimate government, I think I have questions, and I believe you know my questions. Or should I say I have objection? You see, using that 1999 constitution